On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with Cliff Quicksell about 4 things you need to do if you're a salesperson. Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and I am so excited to have a rock star with me today, Cliff Quicksell, who not only has the best name in the promotional products industry in Quicksell, but he's also president and CEO of Cliff Quicksell and Associates and the acting director of marketing for I Promote You. Cliff, thank you so much for joining me.
How are you?
I'm doing great, man. One of the things I know about you is you do sales training around our industry, but also outside of the industry. So what are some things that you see salespeople doing that they could be doing better?
I would say that, I thought about this, and I would think that there's 4 key things that I see that salespeople, the majority of salespeople, that they fail to do. One is they don't have an executable plan. And I preach that all the time. Secondly, I'm surprised at how few really know their numbers. When you ask a question, what did you sell last month? Well, I sold about, and what was your margin? I don't quite. To me, that's the lifeblood of your business. The third thing is their inability to actually measure the effectiveness of their marketing. What they spent and what the return was on that. Because it all circles back to cash flow and understanding in your business and how effective or, I guess, ineffective your business is and how to be able to make those changes. And I think the last thing is, and this goes especially for folks in the promotional products business or the promotional marketing industry, is they fail to know their personal value. It's a shocker. I would encourage your audience that if you want to know what you made an hour last year, seriously take the number of hours that you worked and your gross profit and divide it, and that tells you that's an eye opener. Yeah. I remember asking one fellow that question, and we did the calculation. It was $10.30 an hour, putting a lot of time in, giving a lot of free artwork away, and at the end of the day, he said to me, he goes, "God, I could work at Walmart, making this kind of money, and I wouldn't have the headaches and the hassle." So again, those 4 things: having an executable plan, knowing your numbers, being able to measure your marketing, and also really understanding what you're worth and being able to project that to your customer and get paid for that.
Dude, those are great. And it reminds me, early on in my career, somebody told me that, you are the CEO of You, Inc., right? And it feels like, what you're saying right there is you got to treat you and your sales business as a business, and you're the CEO of it.
There's no question. Yeah. Even if you're a salesperson working within a company, yeah. I know that when I had that role before, I actually owned that. I felt that was my little sub company, to your point, within their company. I followed the guidelines of everything that they were doing, but the reality is, this is I have to eat doing this, especially if you're on a commission sales schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Well, that is super advice. I love it. And so the other thing I know about you is, you're an award-winning marketer. Each year you are recognized for different campaigns you've created. So and again, I'm not looking for all of them or any of the secret sauce necessarily, but what are some components that make up a great marketing campaign?
Initially, asking the right questions. Even if you're doing it for yourself, you need to really ask yourself the questions: who's my target audience? What am I trying to accomplish? What would success look like to me? Yeah. And then will this message resonate? Will I be able to measure the effectiveness of it? And then being able to take all of that information and, picking up maybe a product here, a packaging component here, a clever creative theme, and a method of distribution, and again, tracking and follow-up makes for a very, very solid campaign.
No, that's actually, it's so funny. And whether it's within our industry or even our customers, right? It's amazing to me how few people actually ask the question, what am I trying to accomplish? What emotion am I trying to elicit? What's the goal? And because it's impossible to measure it if you don't know that in advance.
Right. And, and I think a lot of people just assume, you know what? I mean, I remember customers, I said, what's success look like to you? And they couldn't give me an answer. I said, we just want it to be successful. I said, well, if I was able to take and make you an extra $1, would that be success? No. I said, well, then you have to give me something a little bit more concrete to work with. Yeah. So great point.
Yeah. So in working with salespeople, we're a stressed out group sometimes. So what's one thing you see that stresses salespeople out, and how do you think they can fix it?
I go back to that phrase that just probably irritates the living daylights out of most people, and that is have a plan. Yeah. I think the thing that executes most people is that they just don't know where to go next. Yeah. What do I do? I was having a conversation with a friend of mine today, and I said the sad thing is most people in our industry, their idea of a marketing plan is all of a sudden the supplier. I love the suppliers, God love them, but a supplier shows up and says, we have these great water bottles. These great water bottles, you can get 100 of them for $50. Oh, that's my marketing campaign for this year. But what's the purpose? Yeah. What's the purpose behind it? And so I think and I force the issue with the folks that I work with. I mean, I don't let them off the hook, and I think that irritates the devil out of them. I said, so those are great water bottles, but what's your plan? And most people's plan is they cross their fingers and hope people buy these by the tractor trailer load. That's the problem. And oftentimes the tools that we could create with the marketing campaign, with the tools that we have available, I've seen it create some brilliant marketing campaigns if done properly. And also, just in everyday life, if you have a plan, guess what? Things run so much smoother. You know where you're going.
No, man, I love that. It's so funny because you talked about irritating. I'm sure my kids get the same thing. Like it blows me away when I hear that 3% of people have their goals written down. 3%. Oh. And then they wonder why life just happens to them. So right. I think it's consistent with what you're saying too. So you've answered my questions. I give everybody a chance to ask me one question. Do you have one for me?
I do, actually. I want to do a real prelude to this real quick.
Okay.
I want to tell you and your audience, and I mentioned this to you at Expo this year, well, first of all, I'm honored to be on this show, number one. But secondly, I just admire how you've taken this and really run with it. And I often wonder, and I ask people this all the time, but what is your passion? What is your passion? What's Kirby passionate about? And why? Why are you passionate about that?
Oh, man, that's a great question. So, first things first, I was talking to you before we started this about one of my daughters getting a car. So my family, my wife, my kids, my family, certainly I'm passionate about that. That's first and foremost. And then, I'm kind of an entrepreneur by nature, right? And so whether it's in the promo world, I'm actually starting a microbrew as well. I have another company as well. And so I'm absolutely fascinated. I could talk all day about different sales and marketing and entrepreneurial strategies. So, and to the point where my wife does a lot of eye rolling at times because she's just tired of hearing about it. But I'm super passionate about that. It's funny because people will, in total other industries, will be like, well, what do you think I should do about that? And I'll spend 45 minutes just talking to them, and they'll be like, gosh, I'm sorry to waste your time. I'm like, no, man, this is fun for me. Like, I'll do this, so I'm pretty passionate about just kind of entrepreneurs and starting business and that sort of thing. So that's kind of fun.
Well, I don't want you to feel alone because I have an eye-rolling wife as well. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Well, Cliff, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I honored to have gotten to know you a little bit and really admire the work that you do as well. So thank you so much for taking the time.
My friend, it's a pleasure. Anytime. You have a great day.
Cool. Well, that wraps up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for watching, but wait! Can you do me a favor? Please subscribe to my channel. If you haven't done it already, the way to do it's right over here. And hey, if you want to watch the last episode, check that out over here. Again, before you leave, subscribe!